welcome to the Avid Knits podcast. My name is Sarah, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry, both as Avid Knits. Today is September 18th or 19th. It's Friday, and it is a little overcast and like 73 outside here in Houston, Texas. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the cold front is due to all of the fires in the West. If you live in that area or have friends in that area, or, man, that's heartbreaking. As many good vibes, prayers for rain, cross your fingers, and then do me a favor and write your representatives, or maybe drop a letter on 45's desk, because some disaster relief should have been incoming a long time ago, and the fact that it hasn't is absolutely disgusting. So, real quick at the top of the episode, I want to say welcome back to anybody who is used to me, and hi to all the new people. A lot of you are from the Through the Back Loop podcast with Peggy, and I love Peggy. Peggy's amazing. Hi, Peggy. And if you don't follow her or haven't seen her, you should. She's very sweet. She is out in California, so she is dealing with some of the brunt of everything. As far as I know, she has not had to evacuate, which is super lucky. I do have friends who have had to evacuate, and it's really scary. You guys, what's going on up there is nuts. Friendly reminder that Portland protests and protests around the nation for Black Lives Matter are still ongoing. So please, please, please look up how you can help, write your representatives, do your own protesting from your home. You don't have to go out into the streets to do it. On the theme of natural disasters, there has been lots of hurricane damage going on in the Gulf and in the East Coast here, and from what I have heard, this cold front that we are experiencing right now, basically as it moves out, it is going to pull a disturbance in the Gulf. A tropical disturbance in the Gulf is going to pull it in and possibly create another hurricane. So yay for that. Hooray, 2020 hurricane season. Late, but here. Yeah, so like I said, I have a lot of new people here, so hi to you. Real quick up front FYI about me, you can watch the first episode if you would like my entire backstory, please feel free. Other than that, I don't shy away from what's in the news, but I try to make it as quick as possible. So if you're looking for a very light and fluffy podcast that does not discuss what's going on in the world today, this will not be the podcast for you. Thank you for checking it out. Anybody else? There's a lot going on right now. And I hope that you are taking care of yourself as much as you can, and that you are keeping abreast of it as much as you can. Yeah, there's quite a bit. We've got all kinds of stuff. Elections are coming up pretty quick here in the US, and I feel like, personally in my area, I feel like it's becoming kind of aggressive, to be absolutely honest. There's very much a line of us versus them regarding Trump supporters and non-Trump supporters. And that bothers me, and I don't know if I felt like there was quite this much animosity in any other election that I can remember in my lifetime. Yeah, there was definitely oh, we want Bush, or oh, we don't want Obama, or oh, we don't want but nobody was ever vile about it, and it's like, people put up a Trump sign, and to me, it's like an absolute slap in the face of, your life has no value to me because you're not my people, and that's difficult. It's really difficult. For instance, on my street, I have a black neighbor, my husband's Mexican. These people are Indo-Pakistani and Muslim. And then I have 2 white people with Trump signs in their yard, flanked by another black neighbor. So then you have a white neighbor, a Mexican family, a white neighbor, a Trump supporter, a black neighbor, So it just, and then down the street, and there's quite a few people of color in my neighborhood, which is wonderful as far as diversity goes, but it also means that kind of cliques are being formed, like all the Trumpers kind of hang out together, like out on their... One of my neighbors doesn't believe in having a backyard, and so they basically park their cars in the street And then their driveway is set up as their hangout spot, which is fine. But like whenever they park their cars, they park them in front, specifically in front of neighbors of color. Like they don't park them in their buddies, like in front of their buddies' houses. Like we have one on the end that there's a Trump supporter and then a Mexican family across the street. And like the Mexican family has 4 vehicles. They're all in their driveway. They swap them out as they need to. They're very, very respectful of their space. And then these guys, like, he has his wife's car in front of their house and his big old truck in front of their house, and then they pull out their golf cart or whatever. The lack of courtesy is just disgusting, to be absolutely blunt. And it's just, you know, now he's a Trump supporter on top of it, and that's just extra frustrating to me. Like, there's no need to take up so much space with your assholery. Just flat out. Like, you don't need to be such a jackass all the time, I guess. There's a lot of new faces here, and so I'd like to say hi up front, and I hope you stick around. I hope that it's your flavor and something that you're interested in. I do not gloss over what's going on in this nation, but I try not to harp on it too. You know, we're all getting a lot of it. So I hope you are okay with that. And yeah, welcome to it. For anybody who's been watching the news lately and has seen these reports of the atrocities that are going on in migrant detention against women in particular, and forced hysterectomies and removals and such and all of that, for any of you who have seen those things, I truly, truly hope that none of you have rolled your eyes and said, oh, that can't possibly be happening, and turned it off. I do hope that all of you immediately got on Google and searched for relevant papers and or history of the American government doing these things, because I'm pretty sure that had you done that, you would have found quite a lot of literature, which should be vile and disgusting, but unfortunately seems to be par for the course for our nation. So yeah, please have a discussion with your representative. Everybody here should be on a first name basis with your representative. I don't care if that's Senate. I don't care if that's House of Representatives. I don't care if it's your mayor. I don't care who it is. You elected these people, and or you allowed them to be elected by not voting. We all have responsibility in this, and we all need to hold each other accountable. Your fastest way as the average American citizen in order to affect change is to vote. And if you didn't vote, or if you had voted and you didn't like the result, let them know. Pepper their inboxes. They are legitimately civil servants. They are here to do nothing other than what you want. So let them know what you want. And hopefully, you know, and it won't always affect change overnight, but enough pressure seems to be pretty effective, you guys. So yeah. Hooray for that, right? So there's your social justice pep talk for the day. Thanks for coming. And yeah, I haven't really podcast. There's just been a lot going on. When it's really news heavy, I kind of get into, I kind of don't want to talk about it on the podcast. I feel like I don't really have a lot of positive things to say. To be absolutely blunt, this is my second recording. My first one was really dark. It just didn't have any positivity in it at all, and I didn't want to put that out there. I feel like I could have just left it off and it would have been the same thing. I wouldn't have just added or compounded. I know that I'm not going to say that any of you come here because I offer you comfort by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that a lot of you come here because we want to have hope. You know, it's been very disheartening, but lately I feel like there's a lot of, people aren't wearing masks, you know, because nobody cares, or, you know, this is happening over here because nobody cares, or Trump's getting away with this because nobody cares. And that phrase is so disheartening to me. It's so disheartening because, well, I care. And I feel like you guys care, right? And sometimes that's really all you need, isn't it? Just somebody to care. So show me you care. Show yourselves that you care. Do something to show that you cared. A really easy thing to do is to Google a template regarding an issue that's important to you and send that to your representative. Or hey, freehand a letter to Ted Cruz and tell him to stop being you know what I mean? Like, have a conversation with your representative as you would any other neighbor that you have and say, hey, like, I expected better than this, you know, this is not acceptable, it's not great behavior, this is crappy behavior for a politician and a civil servant, could you maybe buckle it down a little bit? So, yeah, you know, America is built on the idea of power to the people, despite what certain mouthpieces at higher levels of government will say to you right now. It is built on power to the people, and the point of an American democracy is to give power to the people, and the people are the only ones who can affect change. So put pressure in places that you see are weak. Crack open those places so that a new foundation can be built, because what's being built and what's being run right now is not okay. It's just not okay. And I know that, and all of you know that, and elections are coming. You know, elections are coming, and we got to do what we can in order to make the switch, right? You know, it's been a lot of vote or die, or vote like your life depends upon it. And I know it sounds really melodramatic, but it's very, very true. You know, between climate change and oil and big pharma and the presidency of the United States and the things that are going on in Britain and the wars and the atrocities across this world, like the whole world is on fire right now, you guys. This is the dumpster fire year. You know, but all you can do is put out the little fires, right? That's literally all you can do. So just everybody keep doing it. Just keep at it. It just takes time, and we will do it. Do you know that Black Lives Matter protests have been going on for over 120 days now, which is really wonderful to see that movement continue. Even if it sounds like it's losing steam, it's not. If you feel like it's losing steam, look up people, change some of your social media that you follow, and get that news rolling in. Instagram's new algorithm is shit, and it's terrible, and you should definitely keep that in mind. All of your favorite accounts, emojis no longer count as interactions. You have to actually leave words. So just liking something or sharing it or saving it isn't always enough anymore. Something that I like to do is go through the Explore tab and put in something that I'm interested in, and then there's that little flag on the bottom corner for saving it. If you'll save 4 or 5 things, your Explore page will start to feed you more of that. And then you can go back through your saved and take those out if you want to, but just let your algorithm know that that's what you're looking for, and it will provide it to you. Okay, in wake of the ridiculous news, I have gotten a lot of knitting done. That's pretty much what I'm doing, is knitting and watching Final Fantasy. My son's into Final Fantasy now, which is great, and so that means that we're doing a lot of Final Fantasy around here. And I really enjoy Final Fantasy because it seems to be one of those, so far it has been one of those game collections where basically everything is wrapped up neatly, has a pretty happy ending, and the hero moves forward. And I enjoy that. I enjoy their, for the most part, not in all of them, but in a lot of the stories, I enjoy their exploration into normal people doing extraordinary things and coming out the other side, or having kind of like an imposter syndrome or a lack of confidence and then being able to overcome those things. I really like a hopeful story. I'm all about that. That trope where like the main hero has his confidence broken or is plagued by guilt and then overcomes and becomes even better. Like, I'm really into that. You know, I love to see somebody's success story. And so I really enjoyed that. So I would recommend it if you want to try that out, I suppose. I can't play them because I'm commission knitting, so I'm busy. I can't play any of them, so I have to watch them now. Time for video games anymore. And I go through phases, you know, a couple months of the year, I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. And then for like 10 months of the year, I'm like, no video games, it's fine. But anyway, in all of my knitting, I do have a couple of finished objects. My first one is not here to show you. This is the Paloma sweater. I knit it for Farmer's Daughter Fibers. I knit it out of Sandnes Garn Lanett, which is the Babyull, so it's the baby wool, the baby lamb's wool. And I don't remember the color number, I'll put it here. It's just a dove gray. It's really pretty and very cost effective. And then I held that double with Farmer's Daughter Fibers Mighty Mo, which is a silk and mohair blend, and it is in the color Hairy Belafonte, which is a very pretty like blue gray color. and it was just absolutely beautiful. It was wonderful to work with. It was super linty while I was working with it, but as soon as I blocked it, like I tried it on and everything, and when I took it off, I had a black shirt on. When I took it off, I didn't have hardly any fuzzies, so that was fantastic. Candace has received it. She loves it. Paloma is a free pattern by Espace Tricot. I highly, highly, highly recommend it, especially if you're a newer sweater knitter. That was super, super fun and very fast. Very fast. It is a DK weight pattern, so you can either convert or you can just use a plain DK if you don't do mohair. I would totally make myself one without mohair. It has a 4-inch turtleneck. You can omit that, modify that, do whatever you want with it. Everything is super straightforward. You don't even go down needle sizes for the cuffs and the hem ribbing. It's meant to be very flowy. The one thing I will notify you about is that your sleeves are relatively short. I think that they're 13 or 14 inches. I think most sleeves are like in the 16 to 17 range. And then the body is only like 10 with ribbing. It's super tiny. It's super, super cropped. So if you would like a longer body, you will need more main color. You will need more yarn. Yeah, but like I said, really great sweater, especially for a, I mean, it would be great for indie, obviously, but it is a wonderful type of pattern for a good, solid, cost-effective commercial yarn. Sandnes Garn was an absolute joy to knit with. I really, really loved it. I would totally buy it again. Yeah, so that was my Paloma, and it went so fast. It was great. You know, I've had a lot of color work for commissions this year. I knit myself a fully cabled Bronwyn. You know, that thing was a nightmare. Not really. I love cables. But it was super fun to come into something so straightforward and so fast, and just to finally look down and be like, oh, well, I'm done with that. You know? I did lengthen the body for Candace. All of my notes can be found on my Ravelry page. Mine is sent to classic mode. I don't know if that matters for your viewing pleasure. Ravelry is kind of like Instagram right now, I guess. Like, I don't even know what to say about Ravelry anymore. They're working on it. Things take time. COVID's a thing. My other finished objects are wet because I washed them yesterday because they've been getting worn nonstop. These are my son's Rose City rollers in the Mabon colorway from Sweet Sparrow Yarns. This is a cashmere base, so you can see the fuzzies up here and then down on the foot. He has been wearing them religiously. Basically, he wakes up and puts them on and then doesn't take them off until he goes to sleep. So they are getting lots of love. And then I also finished my husband's socks. These are also a riff off the Rose City roller. They're just a shorty sock, basically. I didn't do the turned cuff I do a regular 2x2 rib for him for cuff, and then mini heel flap adjustment, which you can find in Mina Phillips' vanilla sock. She has a free vanilla sock pattern, and it's just written inside there, the mini heel flap adjustment, and that's what I use because I don't, heel flaps are generally too deep for me. This is knit in Magpie fibers in her Swanky sock, which is also a cashmere base because he's spoiled. And this is the colorway Voices Carry. So it's this really pretty blue-gray color, and it's got speckles of like chocolate brown and some toffee and some gold and a little bit of black. It's a really beautiful color, and I really, really enjoyed making them. They went super fast. Socks usually do. I tend to take socks as travel knitting, and we tend to do little mini road trips because we get stir crazy. We are generally pretty avid travelers, and with COVID we haven't been able to do any of that, so we've been doing a lot of little dive bomb Texas trips. For any of you who are not familiar with Texas or not part of the US or have just never been here, there's a running joke. If anybody's ever heard the song Hey There Delilah by the Plain White Tees, he says in there, I think it says, hey there Delilah, he says something about, how's it up there in New York City? I'm 1,000 miles away from you, or something like that. Anyway, but we have a joke, and it says, hey there, Delilah. It says, hey there, Delilah, I'm calling you from Houston. I'm 800 miles away, but somehow I'm still in Texas. and it's true. It's true. You can travel 800 miles either any given way and not leave. So there's a lot to explore here, was my point to that. Anyway, so I've gotten a lot of sock knitting done. I have finished a sock this morning while I was watching Final Fantasy with my son. And so this is my Rose City roller for me. This is Nomadic Yarns in her Tweedy sock. This is the Squad Gourds colorway, which I'm pretty sure is a My Favorite Murder reference. So you have a forest green, kind of an olive scummy pond green, a pink, a really pretty pumpkin orange and then kind of a yellowy neutral. And it is obviously supposed to be the colors of different gourds for the fall. And I am 2 rows into the cuff, but then I figured I should put it down in podcast. And now that I'm doing it twice, I'm really glad that I did that. So, yeah, those are all my finished objects. I have a couple of whips going on. One of them is a test knit for Ellie of Skeindeer. Ellie has a pattern. It's a giant coat, and it's called the Kosegenser, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's black and white. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I really, really want one, but I live in Texas. And so I put off making it, But it's one of those things that anytime you travel to like someplace with snow, as long as you wear layers, like you could basically take that as your jacket. Like you wouldn't need another coat. That would be probably more than enough depending on where you're going and what you're going for. For the way that we travel so we can check out food, or we can check out like little sightseeing. Like we don't camp. We don't spend all the time outside whenever we, usually. Sometimes, but usually we go so that we can check out the city or we can check out the area or whatever. So there's lots of in and out of the car or going into a restaurant or being outside for a couple of hours and then going inside to do something. So a coat like that would be really perfect for me. But I haven't knit it. And then Ellie said that she was going to make a pullover version. And I was like, well, I want to knit that. So I begged her and she let me. I knit the 43-inch size. Now my gauge was off and I knew that going in and I knew it was going to end up being bigger. So I would say that I'm probably in the 46 range, maybe 47. I'll let you know after I measure it, but it's quite a bit bigger than what it was supposed to be, and that's fine. I don't care. So it's bottom up and it just has a flea pattern on the bottom. And then you hit the top of the body and you do sleeve steeks. Now I've already cut all of mine open. All my steeks are reinforced and cut open. But this is the top. So you have sleeve and neck steeks. So whenever you're knitting, everything just stays in the round. It's really fantastic. You just add the steeks in. She tells you how to do it. It's super, super simple. Don't be afraid of it. And then you just cut them open. Ta-da! I used Rauma 3-ply Strikkegarn in the colors, sorry, I dropped one. And my main color is 107 and my contrast color is 103. I have used 2 whole balls of the contrast color and I did steek reinforcements with that color. So I will probably use half of this for the sleeves, and that's all I needed. Rauma is really, really well priced. It's 100% Norwegian wool. So it's very, very sticky. It is perfect for steeking. I did not need to do these reinforcements at all. I had no need to do a crocheted edge. Like you probably can't even, I mean, I can't see it, but that's my steek edge. Like there's like one little tiny thread that I'm like, oh, that's where I cut. But other than that, I really can't tell. And so there was no need to do these. I just did them because I thought that I think that they look nice. But I'm going to pick up stitches around the edge here and do a neckband. And I'm going to attach a sleeve on this one. So you're not going to see that. So they'll just be on the inside. They'll just be for me to know about. They are really nice, I think. Maybe they're not necessary, but they are really nice on a cardigan, I think, because you can tack them down and it holds everything flat. You can line it with ribbon or whatever whenever you put your button band on. It's just a really nice way of securing things. Now, if you use a yarn that is not as sticky as Rauma, then definitely use that. If you use a superwash yarn, you're going to want to use a sewing machine. I have seen a couple of steek tutorials that suggest that you use a straight stitch on your sewing machine to go straight up and down, and I would argue that a zigzag stitch might be better just because then it crosses over the legs and holds them down. I have used a straight stitch before and I had mediocre luck with it. I am also not a seamstress and don't really know what I'm doing with a sewing machine. Could have been user error. You never know. So anyway, I have sleeves and a neckband to do, but I have a commission on the needles right now that has a deadline. This is not due until sometime in November. So she has quite a few of her patterns. It's just like 4 or 5 different sweater patterns coming out, and a couple of them are reduced. So like this is a pullover version of a jacket she has, and she's also going to have a yoked cardigan version of a drop shoulder sweater that she has. So yeah, keep an eye on Ellie of Skeindeer. Keep an eye on her Instagram page. She is a very clear pattern writer. I personally wouldn't have a problem suggesting this as a beginner sweater pattern if you're comfortable with color work. But I feel like Ellie's patterns are one of those things where you have to read the directions and do what she said. You can't sit there and argue and wonder why and this seems weird. Like, literally just do what it said and you'll be fine. But she does have the Sweater Hug and Floof, both of which are top down and should be absolutely wonderful for a beginner sweater knitter. And I'm sure quite a few others actually, but those are the two that come to mind. They don't have color work or anything in them. So if you're a new sweater knitter, Ellie's a wonderful pattern writer, and her patterns are very succinct. They're very, very much, here it is, and go. And I personally really appreciate that. I know a lot of people like the fact that indie designers really hold your hand. And some of that I appreciate, but I do so much skimming on a pattern, I've noticed, that, especially as a more experienced knitter, that I don't know, that's not really how I learn. I am much more of a, tell me what to do and let me do it. And then, you know, maybe I'll have questions afterward for like, I wonder why that was that way. But I prefer to do a separate research for that. Not everybody is like that. That's fine. My next whip, I kind of have a story about, so I wanted to chat with you a little bit. And I wanted to chat with you about it because it has a little bit to do with color work and proper yarn selection. And so I wanted to kind of share with you what the experience that I had. I was contacted by Jamie of Knitosophy. She is the same one who did the rattlesnake tee, and she did the swallowtail sweater, both of which I have knit. She also did, what is that called? The halfway, maybe? Has like a mohair panel that runs down the middle. It's super pretty. Anyway, she contacted me and asked me if I would knit a sample for her, and I said, of course I would, because I love Jamie, and of course. And she said, okay, I'm going to send you some yarn. And this sweater is called the Herbaceous. I'll put a picture here, and it's super pretty. It's just like little herby, planty thing. And she said, I'm going to send you a gray with an autumnal contrast, so it can be kind of an autumn sweater. I said, fantastic, that sounds wonderful. And so she sent me the yarn. And I'm going to put it next to this really light gray because I don't know how much this will show up on camera. It's really obvious in the light, but camera, you know. I got the yarn and it's purple. And it's very pretty, but it's not gray. And so I texted her and I was like, hey. And she's like, I think it'll be fine. Over the camera, it looks fine. And I was like, okay, well, we'll go with it then. This is Kim Dye's yarn. It was the colorway. The base is called Sugar Cookies, and it is a 92% mohair, 8% lurex. So it is a very, not super soft, maybe, I guess. Lurex is a kind of a metallic thread, so it's almost like having 80s tinsel strung through your yarn, to be absolutely blunt about it. It has a very, very great sparkle, but its feel is softer than what like 100% superwash merino would be. Is not as soft as 100%. There we go. Not as soft as 100% superwash. Not a big deal. Super nice. Very, very, very sparkly. Fun, fun, fun. The other yarn that she chose for contrast was the Flan Fingering. And Flan Fingering is a merino and silk blend. Also a very pretty yarn. Super nice. A little bit finer, which is not a big deal for me. I can work that out. It's totally cool. And I got it in this beautiful goldenrod yellow, a super bright warm orange, and a kind of a minty dead leaf variegated type thing. And these were all supposed to go together. Okay, so fine, no problem. So I get started and I'm knitting. I'm like, okay, well, it's got good stitch definition at least, you know? It really does. It has really pretty stitch definition, and you can see all of your stuff, and the sparkle's really nice. And I was like, okay. But my stitches were really uneven. So I was like, well, all right, let me get through the first chart and then I'll block it and see what it does. Well, then I got, then I got into the color work and I was like, wow, like my stitches are super uneven and my color work is terrible. Like you can't even tell what this is, And I was like, well, let me block it and see what happens. This is the blocked version, you guys. So it was horrendous when I got done with it. I was like, well, that's really frustrating. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but like, it can't be me. I mean, like, this is unblocked color work. It's not perfect, but I mean, it will be as soon as it's blocked, I'm not a new color work knitter, especially not with superwash. Why is this so bad? So I came in and I blocked it. And ultimately what it comes down to is that the lurex and the silk don't like each other. And so they don't hang on to each other at all. So you can stretch it and move it and do whatever you want, but ultimately it just doesn't It just doesn't play well. And so I text Jamie. I was like, look, what do I do? And she basically was like, well, I guess it's too late now because deadline. And I was like, would I be a jerk if I told you, no, it's not? Like, you totally have time for this. I mean, I knit a 46-inch, completely cabled with sleeves and seamed together sweater in 10 days. Like, I can handle your colorwork sweater. I don't have anything else going on. I can totally do this if you need me to. And I don't mind. And she was super, she's super grateful, obviously. And so then the next thing I know, I have 2 completely different yarns in my mailbox. So she switched not only colors, but bases. This is the Tartlet Sport. It is 113 grams, 385 yards of 100% superwash merino. And so now my main color is Starstone, which is this beautiful tonal charcoal gray. And my contrast color, I only have one this time. And it's this purple and yellow and pink variegated. It's called Coreopsis. And it's lovely. It's really lovely. I'm really enjoying it. So I got that cast on a couple days ago, and I haven't worked on it super hard. I need to crack down, and I will. But I got halfway through the first chart, and I just wanted you to see the difference between the 2 yolks. So, like I said, I'm only halfway through the first chart, so it's gonna roll a little bit. I'm trying here, so it'd be hard. It's going to be hard to do a side by side. But you can tell. All right, but you can tell already, this is unblocked, but you can tell already that all of my stitches are going to even out. You can tell where my little sprigs are coming in. Like I said, I'm only halfway through, so they don't make a whole lot of sense yet, but you can see where they're going to flatten out and even out and just be really lovely. Whereas this never really happened, So anyway, this is a sport weight, so my gauge is different. So I've had to adjust for gauge. So I'm basically knitting 2 sizes smaller than I should be in order to get the size that she asked for. No big deal. That's fine. I can do that. I can convert. Not a problem. And yeah, I'm loving it. It's super fun. It's beautiful. The yarn is amazing. So if you are a superwash merino fan, I highly recommend the Tartlet Sport. It's very pretty. And yeah, I think that's about it on whips. So, I guess kind of for plans, this is my son's sock size, and it also happens to be my niece's sock size, and both of my sister-in-law's sock size. So I was thinking about knitting some of these, busting through some scraps and knitting some of those for Christmas gifts for my sisters-in-law. They got socks 2-3 years ago from me, and I know that my niece has stolen one of them. And so I was thinking about taking pity and making a couple more. The only yarn that I have acquired is from my foraging club from Julie of Sweet Sparrow Yarn. You know me, I'm a sucker for a club that Julie does. This is called Wineberry. It's on her tweed base, which I love so super much. I have a sweater quantity of it up there. And it is 85-15 superwash merino nylon, 438 yards of a fingering weight. And it came with this really beautiful red stitch marker. And in her clubs, she always sends you the little inspiration things, so like my Celtic colorways, my Celtic club colorways, colorways based on Celtic myth, if you're new. And they were always really fun. They always had wonderful little stories. You can see a lot of those if you go back through my episodes. But for the foraging club, this is my first installment, and it says wineberries are one of the best bets for new foragers. Beautiful red raspberry-like berries are easy to spot, easy to pick, and the only lookalikes are raspberries, which are also edible and delicious. Wineberries are similar in shape, but interestingly, they have quite a different texture. Raspberries have a distinctly matte texture, almost chalky, but wineberries have a much more smooth, shiny surface, almost more like a cherry. I like to sprinkle them with just a little bit of sugar to encourage them to get even juicier and more flavorful, and then add them to yogurt or oatmeal. They can be substituted for raspberries in just about any recipe that calls for them. However, the plants that produce these gorgeous scarlet treats aren't always welcome. The wineberry plant was originally brought to the U.S. from Japan in the 1890s to use as breeding stock for raspberry growers experimenting with new cultivars, but the seeds were quickly spread by birds and other wildlife eating the bright red fruits, and soon the wineberry was found to be invasive. While some nurseries will still sell wineberry plants, it's not generally considered a good idea to plant new ones, and in some states it's even illegal, including New York, which is where she lives. That just makes it more special to find them in the wild. She has paired oh my goodness, you guys, paired the wineberry colorway with a Progress Keeper featuring beautiful red carnelian stone. Carnelian is thought to be a stone of vitality, which wineberries certainly have, with their ability to spread and thrive in conditions where many other berries cannot. Carnelian is also supposed to help foster a positive outlook in problem-solving situations. So I think I'm going to take that stitch marker and put it on whatever it is I'm working right now. Could really use some vitality right now, you guys. I don't know about you. My energy levels have been so low the last couple of months. I think we're just all feeling it, you know? So anyway, that's all my knitting and all my chatting. I'm really glad I re-recorded. I feel a lot better about this episode than I did the first one. I hope you guys enjoyed it and it wasn't too Debbie Downer for you. You know, it's been hard. It's been hard for all of us. So, I don't have a prompt for you. I don't. Tell you what, in the comments below or on my Instagram, I'll make a post for this episode on my Instagram or on my Instagram, in one of those two places, tell me what you're looking forward to about fall. It can be a project that you're going to knit. It can be a thing you're going to do, a place you're going to go. I don't know, the weather maybe. Tell me what it is that you're looking forward to most about fall. And I will put those names in a hat and draw a name, and whoever wins gets to pick their choice of yarn out of my DStash account, and I will send that to you for free. And yeah, so let's do that. Let's spread a little bit of cheer. Also, there's a ton of stuff in my DStash account. Please feel free to go over there. My prices are not fixed. Feel free to barter with me. I'm down for that. That doesn't matter. That does not bother me at all. I hope you have a lovely weekend and a great week. It's cool. It's like 70 something here, and my brother-in-law called me during lunch, and so I think we're going to go to the beach tonight. I think my husband's going to get off work, and I think we're all just going to pack up and go down to Galveston, put our feet in the water, sit in a chair. It's local to Texas, St. Arnold has their, St. Arnold Brewing Company has their Oktoberfest out right now, and it is very good this year. Yeah, but I think we'll do that, take a couple of those, maybe a hoodie, because there's going to be some wind coming off the Gulf, and maybe we'll go down and just pretend the world's not losing its mind for 20 minutes, right? Okay. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will hopefully talk to you soon. Okay? Bye.